All right, so let's get right into it. Today, we're going to pull apart a modern ghost story that had an entire village in its grip. It all kicks off in this isolated place called Barayapur, and it centers on this old, creepy, and supposedly cursed mansion, a Haveli. We're going to dissect just how this story masterfully builds its terror, piece by piece. And then this message shows up, found inside the Haveli, written in blood. And suddenly, everything changes. This isn't just some spooky threat. It's a promise. It sets the tone for the whole story, this idea of an escapable dread. Now, ahat just means the sound of footsteps, but as you're about to see, it becomes so much more than that. So, that brings us to our first section, the mysterious sound of Bhairav. We're going to dive into how this strange, persistent sound of footsteps with no apparent source starts to terrorize the village. And it all begins, as these things often do, with a single person who just doesn't believe. You know, every great ghost story needs that one person to push things into motion. And for us, that's Reena. She's young, she's skeptical, and she's dared by her friends to go into this infamous Haveli. Thinking it's all just local superstition, a bunch of nonsense, she walks right in, all alone, and kicks off a chain reaction that nobody saw coming. The second she's inside, that skepticism starts to crumble. In the light of her flashlight, she sees her own shadow on the wall, but there's another one right next to it, moving when she doesn't. And then she hears it, for the very first time, that slow, steady, deliberate sound of footsteps getting closer. This is the first encounter with the ahat, and it's the moment Reena officially becomes the story's first victim. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The haunting doesn't stay with Reena. Oh no, it starts to spread through the village like a virus. But it's different for everyone. You've got Raghu the barber, who sees this terrifying figure with glowing green eyes. Then there's Anirudh, the teacher, who hears whispers right in his ear. Savita sees a strange woman in her own courtyard. The curse is spreading, and each encounter is unique. But they all have one thing in common, that chilling sound of the ahat. With the whole village gripped by fear, the story pivots. This is where we move into the second act, the search for truth. The terror is no longer something people are just running from. It's become an active investigation. They realize they have to find the source of this thing. And who shows up to sort it all out? Our next key player, DCP Arvind. He's a cop, a man of pure logic and reason, and he's been sent from outside the village to put an end to what he sees as rising panic and mass hysteria. And this slide just lays out the central conflict perfectly. On one side, you have Arvind's total disbelief. He's thinking, this is all just superstition. But on the other, you have the very real, shared, and terrifying experience of an entire village saying, no, we're all feeling the same thing, the ahat. It's skepticism versus supernatural reality. So naturally, Arvind marches right into the Haveli himself, totally confident he's going to debunk this whole thing. But inside, his confidence just shatters. He feels this icy cold hand on his shoulder, spins around, and there's no one there. And then a voice whispers right in his ear, the truth is in the cellar. And in that one moment, the skeptic is gone. He's a believer now. At the exact same time, we're seeing this incredible transformation in Reena. She's not just the scared victim anymore. That fear has hardened into this fierce curiosity, this need to understand what's happening to her and to everyone else. She decides she has to go back to that Haveli. And this is how our ghost hunting crew comes together. You've got Reena, who's now leading the charge. She finds Anirudh, the teacher, who also had a terrifying experience, and gets him on board. Then they go to DCP Arvind, who, after his own encounter, is more than ready to help. The three of them form this unlikely alliance with a single clear goal: go into that cellar at midnight and find out what's down there. Which brings us to the climax of the story, the cellar's curse. The team is ready, their destination is set, and they're about to descend into the darkness where that voice promised the truth was waiting. The atmosphere here is just, you can feel it. They wrench open this old, rusted door and are just hit by this blast of disgusting, foul air. The stairs just lead down into pitch blackness. Every little detail, the cold, the dampness, that awful smell, it's all designed to ramp up the tension as they go deeper into the heart of the haunting. And what's waiting for them at the bottom? Another message scrolled in blood. But this one's different. It's not a warning, it's a confession. and a threat. It flat out says the ahat is a curse, and it promises death to anyone who hears it. The stakes have just been raised from scary to life or death. And just then, the thing they've been hunting finally shows itself. This misty white shape just materializes out of the corner of the cellar. And it speaks. For the first time, this entity has a name. Lolita. She was the original mistress of the Haveli. The ghost is no longer just a sound. It has an identity. And her story explains everything. Lolita tells them this absolutely tragic tale. 100 years ago, her husband, consumed by greed, buried her alive right there in that very cellar. For a whole century, her spirit has been trapped, her screams and her frantic footsteps echoing from under the ground. And over all that time, that sound of pure agony has twisted and changed into the curse they now call the ahat. So the mystery of the Haveli is solved. They know who Lolita is, they know why she's doing this, which brings us to the final, desperate part of the story, an endless fear. And the question is, can this curse actually be broken? The group comes up with a plan that, on the surface, seems totally logical. If Lolita's spirit is tied to the Haveli, then destroying the Haveli should set her free, right? So they decide to do it. They're going to burn the whole place to the ground, hoping it'll finally give her peace and end the ahat for good. And for one night, it works. It actually works. After the Haveli is nothing but a pile of ashes, the village of Pyravpur experiences something it hasn't felt in years. One single, beautiful night of absolute silence. No whispers, no shadows, and most importantly, no ahat. But you knew it wasn't going to be that easy, didn't you? This is a horror story, after all. That one night of peace, it was just a brief intermission in a show that was far from over. A few days go by. Rena's in her room, just trying to feel normal again. And then she hears it. Not from outside, not from the direction of the ruined Haveli, but from the corner of her own room. The slow, deliberate sound of footsteps. The ahat is back. And this is the final, terrifying revelation. The ahat was never tied to the building. The Haveli was just where it was born. The curse attaches itself to the people who hear it. It's not just a sound you hear, it's an unseen shadow that follows you, everywhere. They burned down a house, but you can't burn down a sound. And that leaves us with this final, chilling thought. They did it. They solved the mystery of the haunted house. But in doing so, all they really learned was the true, horrifying nature of the curse. The ahat wasn't a ghost trapped in a place. The ahat is the curse itself, and now it's free to follow them wherever they go forever.